Welcome to Industry Ignited, the podcast where we explore bold leaders and breakthrough ideas transforming industries around the world. I'm your host, Dr. Leeanne Aguilar. And today we're stepping into a conversation that walks the line between tradition and innovation. My guest is Chandan Manocha. He is the founder and CEO of Player Footwear Company, a third-generation manufacturing business in Delhi, India, producing over 10,000 pairs of footwear monthly. At just 24 years old, Chandan is reimagining what open footwear can be, combining science, comfort, and sustainability to create designs that challenge cultural norms and elevate footwear. Chandan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Leanne. It's great to be here.
Tell me a little bit more about yourself. I mean, you took over a family business that's been around for more than 40 years. What was it like stepping into that legacy as a young entrepreneur?
It was very difficult, absolutely, but there was no other option for me, so I had to do it. And I think it's been a tough ride, but yeah, we're in it. We're doing it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you were very young when you stepped into the business,
Yeah, I was 19 when I started.
19 when you started. And so, um, did you have a background in business? Had you been working in?
None whatsoever. I had zero exposure to any business or any, sort of how things work in the real world.
Yeah. So what gave you like the confidence or inspired you to like jump into the business at 19 years old?
To be honest, obviously, it wasn't a very well thought out decision that I will do this. I just had to do it due to some, event which happened in my life. So I was going through the same, bachelor's also in footwear designing, and we had the setup. So I just started, and it was, to my luck that COVID happened. So everything stopped in the meanwhile, and, I had all the time in the world to start a new beginning.
Okay. Yeah. So you did jump in during COVID, and that's
Absolutely.
when a lot of industries were really struggling. And so you just found at that moment there was opportunity rather than a setback because you had.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting. Now, you mentioned when we spoke before having a background in science and footwear design. How has that combination shaped your unique approach to manufacturing and innovation?
Greatly so. When I joined the business, I realized the whole footwear industry of India, at least, they did not have a very proficient you know, uh, design department in their, every process they took. So I came in, I realized all the shortcomings, and I, started implementing the things I was learning in my, by my professors, and also with my own, design language and everything. I started.
Okay. And
Yeah,
so in school, were you learning footwear design? You were
not
going
at
to
all,
school?
not at all.
No.
No.
What were you studying?
I had a complete, I was focused on sciences and computer science and, coding and everything related to that.
Okay. And so when you came into the footwear business, though, so it's a company that your, I guess, grandfather started, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you came in and you saw like some inefficiencies and you saw some opportunity. Tell me a little bit more about that.
See, as I told you, I joined during COVID. So at the time of my joining, uh, initially when I went there, all operations were at a halt. You know, things were not happening, work was not happening, everything was on a lockdown. So I had all the, opportunities, and the situation was such that I could decide how to change everything, which was, not required or not meaningful to take ahead. Plus, yeah,
Yeah. And was your grandfather designing the same kind of shoes that you're designing
no,
now?
no, they were doing close to, shoes, proper formal shoes, those things.
Yeah. And what was the biggest challenge you faced when you decided to completely revamp the production systems and introduce the open footwear?
We more or less had the initial setup. We had all the requirements, inside the factory, which was not an issue for us. But the problem was the market. As I said, it was the period of lockdown, not just for us, for the whole country, for the whole world.
Right.
So, marketing, distribution, those are very big challenges at the time that, we cannot run a business without anything happening. The whole economy was stopped.
Yeah. So just the challenges, I mean, not only in the industry, but in the entire country and world as far as just moving, um, selling products, I suppose. Retail, I'm sure, was suffering a lot at that time. And then when was it that you actually came up with the idea or saw the need for the open toe footwear?
Uh, I think it was very fast that it happened that I started with open footwear. It was not a very well thought out decision at the time, but as I got into it, I realized that open footwear made more sense for the Indian market. And I realized that it was not as much prominent in the industry. So I thought there was a very, huge upside to it that I could start it and, create a new genre of market which did not exist at the time of me joining it.
Okay, because your grandfather, you said, was focusing on the closed footwear, but you
Yeah.
saw the need and opportunity for the open footwear, and that would be like sandals and you know,
Slip-ons, V-shaped flip-flops.
yeah, okay, right, and I know you mentioned that the weather and the climate there where you're at,
As I told you that I did not take this decision very well thought out when I did it in the, initially basically. But as I was working on it, I researched more and more and I realized that the Indian climate, because we're near the equator. So even if there is, seasons, a lot of seasons going through here, summers and heat is the most prominent and humidity is, very high throughout India.
yeah,
So open footwear objectively made more sense. And as I talked to more and more people about it, every single person faced this issue with shoes that they could not, wear it every single day without fail and be comfortable in them.
right,
Nobody is satisfied with shoes here, but we still, have that culture of wearing them. So it is being done.
yeah. But at the same time, so it's like there's that opportunity, and it makes sense with the environment and the climate. And yet, I mean, people are having to change its
Yeah,
mindset shift as far as like getting used to wearing, the concept of open shoes. And
exactly.
yeah. So, how are you introducing that concept to the market?
I've been very lucky that the market is itself, trending towards more and more fashionable footwear and, consumption throughout India has skyrocketed after COVID. And, many brands like Birkenstocks and Chubbs is there, No Strain, Neiman's. I don't know if you know these names, but these are very prominent Indian brands which are working solely in open footwear.
Yeah.
So to my advantage, the whole market is slowly, shifting towards open footwear.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, and like you said, there are some very prominent brands. I mean, not only in Europe and the United States and other places that
Exactly.
are, yeah. And so that awareness of fashion is making people more
Yeah.
comfortable with the concept of open shoes. Now, you often talk about designing from a first principles perspective. Can you explain what that means and how it influences your products?
Of course, as I told you, I have a scientific background, and during COVID, I had lots of time to think about it, and you know, I did, for I think an year or two, I just started following what the market was doing,
Uh-huh.
and we were doing some products at the time, and we realized that we are solving the issue of many people, but we are still not the best yet. You know, first principle basis says basically what is a footwear. Essentially, when we study about footwear, we see the history of the evolution of footwear, how it started and how it has progressed, and technology has driven it to the very complex designs and materials and polymers we use right now. But objectively, if we ask a very simple question, that what is the best uh, piece of material which you can apply on your feet when you walk, what is the answer to that question is what we should be aspiring to make as manufacturers.
Right. So tell me more about what components would be included in determining what the best material would be. Is it slowly about comfort? Is it about how you walk, your gait, your posture? I mean, what influences the best materials or that decision in selecting the best materials?
Mm, Obviously, it refers to what use cases the target audience has, the final end user. And so we can categorize different things the person can do with the footwear we design. For example, we have in shoes, we have running shoes separate from, basketball shoes, and other football shoes, and walking shoes are different. The same principle applies to open footwear as well. And not just that, the material selection was, I wouldn't say very complicated, because we did not want to, create a whole new compound for this, but we went with changing the form of the footwear.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I talked to multiple doctors, and went to many people who were facing this issue with their feet, with their knees, with their posture. And I started backtracking from them, that what can we do to make their lives better, the problems which they were facing, how can we solve it for them.
Right. Yeah. And I know you also mentioned that you conducted gait analysis
Exactly.
and in that process to determine the ideal hardness for your footwear.
Exactly.
What discoveries surprised you most during that process?
I discovered the fact that a flat feet is very common throughout the world than most people think.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
It is very rare for you know a very common population to not have any feet deformities. In our analysis, we took initially 50 people. In those 50 people also, I think more or less 40, 45, you could say, 90, 80% people had some or the other form of feet deformat. Uh, you know, uh, so they required something which was not normal. They needed, either they had a lateral shift, or they had a posture issue, or they had flat feet, or somebody had, some knee issue which caused their feet to, place in a different way. So that was a very big revelation for us, that we cannot just design with a general theoretical feet in our mind. We have to take in consideration that most people which use a footwear are not going to be generic ideal feet, and they must have their own abnormalities and their own nuances, and we have to cater to them in such a way that it is one product fits most, if not all, in a comfortable manner.
Right. Yeah, interesting. So you found a lot of variations, obviously, in feet. A lot of people had flat feet and also deformities
Much
in
more than
feet as
expected.
well. Huh. What and were the deformities like from birth or were they from wearing closed-toed shoes?
It was, a mix of not having the correct footwear since, childhood,
Uh-huh.
and after that, not being aware enough to, cater to this problem.
Yeah.
The people I'm telling about, I don't know, even after our analysis, even after us telling them, they never took it seriously that something was not right with the way their feet was placed. So, yeah,
Oh, interesting. Okay, so just from, I mean, just the wearing feet or shoes that weren't appropriate for their feet for a long time,
initially in their childhood, and then not taking a look, again about it.
not having awareness of
Exactly.
of what their feet should be looking like or feeling or what they should be doing.
Like, this happens mostly in childhood only. When we are growing, if we are not changing our feet footwear periodically when we are growing, that can lead to a very big deformity in our size.
Yeah. No, and that is very interesting because foot health isn't often part of a fashion conversation. It's not even something people think about a lot
Exactly.
is the health of your feet. And so I guess, I mean, tell me more about why you think it's important or how you would go about educating people about footwear effects and and how it affects their overall well-being.
I would talk about India specifically right now, because I researched a lot during my college time, that India does not have a specific sizing standard for itself. The sizing standard we use are European or UK. So that is one thing. But the major issue, which is apparent in using these standards, was even if the feet size was the same, the foot length, the girth or the width of the Indian feet is not appropriate for UK sizing.
Really?
So we realized it very early that we have, even if we have the same length as the UK standard, but the width we require, the molds we have to use in making a footwear have to be wider for Indian feet. So that is precisely because the thing I said, people in childhood don't change their footwear as often as they should.
Oh, okay.
So their feet does not have room to grow, lengthwise, but it needs to grow. The growth has to go somewhere, so it gets wider and wider.
Right. Oh, interesting. So they're not sizing up quickly enough, and so their feet are getting wider instead of longer?
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, you've spoken about the limitations of materials like polyurethane. How are you sourcing or developing alternatives that are both durable and sustainable, and I guess more flexible as well?
Right now, we are not, uh, completely revamping the materials we are using, but we are trying to modify it in such a way that we don't we don't use any material just because it has been used in the legacy footwear. As I told you, the difference in the usage of the end user requires different, designs according to it. So we make different categories of, products where we use PU also, polyurethane also, but we are slowly transitioning towards natural material. So with that, we are, uh, we cannot go completely sustainable, completely natural for the footbed. So we need some form of polymer there. So what we've started is we've started upcycling. We are using some additives or some natural compounds which are compatible with the process of the manufacturing of the sheets we use, and slowly and slowly increasing more and more percentage of the natural materials.
Okay, yeah. So just a slow development and just, I guess, testing and seeing what's working.
It's a hidden trial method right now.
Now, I guess going back to like foot health, open toe shoes. I mean, you were talking about the problem with children not sizing up quickly enough, and then the feet growing wide instead of long. Open footwear would help solve that problem, wouldn't it?
Of course, yes. Your feet can breathe in them.
Yeah, your feet can breathe, and there's more space since it's open for your feet to
Exactly. Your
expand.
feet have room to grow.
Yeah, have room to grow. Okay, that's interesting. And so, in your marketing initiatives, because I know you're mainly a wholesaler, right? I mean, you're manufacturing and selling to other retailers,
We
correct?
are OEM manufacturers.
Yeah, only manufacturers. And so, are you educating or how are you educating the retailers on the benefits of open footwear?
As I told you, I have been lucky in this regard that open footwear market is in itself taking a boom here in India.
Yeah.
So not just me, the brands which I work with, I communicate to them that how they can market what we are doing in the products and the designs, and then they use those marketing, points to highlight them in their products.
Hmm.
So yeah,
And as that trend is growing and people are taking on the idea and shifting towards that, openness and acceptance of open footwear, are they seeing the footwear as both professional wear and as well as casual?
sadly not yet, not enough as it should be.
Oh,
But
okay, so it's mostly just for casual wear at this point.
exactly, yeah. But I think we are very slowly tending towards that progress also. I'm not sure. I think it's a design issue right now because we have to also satisfy a fashion stylist, for example. You know, we have to be confident that if you are a person who has a fashion stylist and your fashion stylist must recommend you the open footwear for an event, then only we can say that it is objectively a good thing, that not just utility wise and not just culture wise, objectively also, even if you have the option of going for an closed show or anything else, you are still opting for an open footwear because it is better objectively.
Right. For the foot health and
Exactly.
comfort and posture. And now you're blending these modern design principles with traditional manufacturing roots. How do you balance honoring heritage while still pushing for innovation?
It's quite difficult because one side of the industry is too much attached to the previous forms of working, and they are used to not changing the way they are supposed to do, and just making what they can make without taking in consideration what the end user might feel. So a lot of conversations happen around it. And, you know, we try to make people understand, make the workers understand that what we are doing is changing the whole design, you know, lingo, and making something which even if they themselves want to wear, they would be very happy and comfortable in wearing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it can
Like,
be difficult to change, I guess, mindsets around processes as well. You
like
know,
the industry I'm in, it's very commercialized.
uh-huh.
So, you know, design is very much overlooked many a times. So, you know, those conversations are very difficult to have when we are, you know, costing the company some capital against providing the end user with some extra comfort or utility which they would appreciate in the long run.
Right, right. Now, your vision goes beyond India. How do you see open footwear evolving on a global scale, especially in warm and tropical regions?
I have this belief that, you know, we are just one design away from taking over the global market. So we can see the examples of Crocs, of Birkenstocks, of Adidas. Mm, all of these started with a single design and they took over the globe.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So it just takes a little time.
Yeah. Of course, time and, you know, due diligence, patience, everything.
Right, yeah, exactly. So when you're designing, are you designing for customer request? Are your retailers coming to you and working with you? Do they present you with designs, or are you innovating all of the designs in-house and then presenting them?
It's a synonymous process. We work with brands and their requirements because every brand has different, you know, target audience, different aesthetics and different brand identity.
Uh-huh.
So we have to take them also into consideration. And it's, you know, it's a dynamic process. We give some recommendations and they also have something in their minds and we develop some new designs together.
Okay, so it's a collaborative process.
Absolutely. And we make it a point to, you know, do something original which has never been done before in most of the designs we do.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you're also using 3D printed designs, and this technology is also helping shape footwear. How is that evolving, and how do you think that technology or technology in general, AI, is shaping the next generation of footwear manufacturing?
Footwear, in my experience, the industry which I, you know, joined, I realized it was not at all technology driven. There was no technical thought of what to do, why to do it, and how to do it. So this, you know, very recent boom in AI and the 3D printing technologies, these are not very prominent right now. But you know, it has been introduced, and we are still working on how to incorporate them and these new technologies to better complement what we do.
Okay. So it's
So
still
yeah,
exploring the opportunities and possibilities.
yeah, I'm not,
Yeah,
you know, definite with how it is being worked in right now, but I'm very sure in the, you know, near future this will be very prominent everywhere.
right, exactly. What are your long-term goals for player footwear? Do you envision creating your own global brand someday?
Of course, we, you know, as I said, we are one design away from making that happen. And as soon as, you know, we are confident that we have that design which we can scale globally and which can solve the problem of footwear for every single person on the planet, that's when, you know, we will start distribution and marketing and branding towards it.
For your own brand. That's
Yeah.
very exciting. Right. So, Shandan, finally, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs who want to modernize traditional industries or bring innovation to family businesses?
It's very complicated and I don't know how to specifically, you know, tell it to them, but patience is the key here because the biggest challenge I am facing right now in the revamping of how things are done is the hesitation of people who have been working in this industry for 20, 30, 40 years and, you know, teaching them how to do things differently than they were used to. So patience is the key. And I think if you are, you know, adamant at it and if you are right and if you are able to communicate this better to people around you, it shouldn't be very difficult.
Yeah. So having patience is what I'm hearing, and especially
Absolutely.
those with those who are resisting change or not sure of new technologies. Is what
Exactly.
yeah, just having patience and introducing them, and I guess especially if you're young, showing them and demonstrating. So I guess proving how
Exactly.
um, they can benefit from the new technologies. Well,
Yeah.
Chandan, thank you for joining me today and for sharing your inspiring journey from a family legacy to forging a new path in global footwear innovation. So, as you mentioned, your work is a perfect example of how science, culture, and entrepreneurship can intersect to create something really meaningful. For listeners who want to learn more about Player Footwear Company or follow your journey, where can they connect with you online?
Right now we're only on LinkedIn and some other websites in India, but we're here everywhere. So anybody can contact me.
Yeah, online on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And do you have a website? What is your website?
We have a website called playerfootwears.com.
Okay, very good. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow and subscribe to Industry Ignited for more stories from leaders shaping the future of manufacturing, design, and innovation. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and keep igniting industry.